The next step was to take this into the real-world conditions of the field. But there, the science clashed with politics, and the ability of the scientists to test their hypothesis was under threat by anti-GMO activist groups.
Well, it was quite a small group, but they were very much against what we were doing. And there were some green campaigners, and this actually came as quite a shock, because previously with our research program we're looking for alternatives to pesticides. Then those kind of guys, they've always been our friends and very supportive of our work, because we're looking for alternatives to pesticides. But then as soon as we tried to deliver it through a GM plant for releasing these non-toxic aphid repellents, then they weren't our friends anymore. In fact, they wanted to march up to the field and decontaminate it, as they called it. So we were actually very surprised about this.
So they advertised it on the internet, so we knew. And we tried to contact them and communicate with them. We invited them to come and speak to us. Unfortunately, they didn't feel they could do that. They wanted to destroy the field trial. Their slogan was "Take the flower back," and they did make threats. It was a very worrying time for us, because we were putting these plants out to the field. It had been a long time, 3 years before we got to the stage where you could put the plants out to the field, and we really wanted to see whether it worked. So we had to try to at least engage with them and hope we could explain to them why we were doing it and why we would really want to get the results, so that we could make then decisions based on those results.
The scientists at Rothamsted appealed to the activists not to destroy their research and to let them answer their questions.
We have heard that protesters are planning to attack our GM wheat trial site on the 27th of May. We ask them to please consider our message in the spirit of openness and dialogue. We know we cannot stop you taking the action you're planning to take, but please reconsider before it's too late and before several years' worth of work to which we have been devoting our lives will be destroyed forever.
We appeal to you as environmentalists. We agree that agriculture should work with nature rather than against it. And in fact, that is what we are trying to do with our plants. We have developed this new variety of wheat which doesn't require treatment with an insecticide, and it uses a natural aphid repellent which already widely occurs in nature and is produced by more than 400 different plant species. We have engineered this into the wheat genome so that the wheat can do the same thing to defend itself. Are you really against this because it could have a lot of environmental benefit? Or is it simply because you distrust it because it's a GMO? The suggestion that our wheat is part cow is simply not true. The gene that we have added was synthetically made in the lab, and even with regular plant breeding, the wheat that we grow today has undergone many genetic changes.
Our research is to shed light on questions about safety and usefulness of new varieties of staple food crops which we all depend on. We must stress that this trial is for research purposes only, for gathering knowledge. It is not being commercially grown. As activists, you may prefer never to know whether our new wheat variety would work, but we believe you're in the minority.
You seem to think, even before we've had a chance to test the trial, that our GM wheat variety is bad. But how can you know this? It's clearly not through scientific investigation, because we've not even had any chance to do any tests yet. You state on your website that there's serious doubt that the aphid alarm pheromone being produced by this GM wheat is going to have any effect anyway. And you could very well be right. But if you trash the trial, none of us are ever going to know, are we? And do you really want that?
Our work is publicly funded. We have pledged that our results will not be patented and will not be owned by any private company. If our wheat proves to be beneficial, we want it to be made available to farmers at minimum cost. If you destroy publicly funded research, you leave us in a situation where only big corporations can afford the drastic security measures required to continue biotechnology research, and you therefore further promote a situation you say you are trying to avoid.
You may not know much about Rothamsted. You may not realise that we're the institute that has one of the longest running agricultural and environmental experiments in the world. These are plots that have been receiving agricultural treatments, and we've been measuring the ecological consequences of these since 1843. Now, some of these sensitive plots are very close to the GM trial site, and we're really worried that people trampling these sites are going to compromise the ecological experiment that's been running for nearly 200 years.
When you come to visit us on the 27th of May, please don't come in the spirit of destruction. Please come and engage in conversation with us. We would really like to show you our work and explain to you why we really think that it could benefit the environment in the future. As scientists, we know that we do not have all the answers, but that's why we need to conduct experiments, and that's why, please, we ask you not to destroy them.
So I'm sitting here with Martina Salavuta, the head of communications and engagement at Rothamsted Research. And we're in the beautiful Rothamsted Park, which sits adjacent to Rothamsted Research. Martina, this is where the protest happened. Mm-hmm. This is where people from the community who were upset with the Whiffy wheat field trial convened and demonstrated their discontent with the research. Can you take us back to that day in May of 2012 when the activists convened here?
So it was a beautiful sunny day in May. It was lovely weather and the park was beautiful, and there were a few people that indeed they wanted to express their concerns about the experiment that we were planning to do. All my colleagues that they were involved in the research and other colleagues from Rothamsted were around, were identifiable as a scientist from Rothamsted, and were making themselves available to discuss and engage with the people and explain what the experiment was about, what was the purpose, the big question, what were the procedures, the safety measures in place. So everybody was here and trying to explain.
So do you think that your efforts to engage the public, inform the public, appeal to the public had positive impact and helped allow those subsequent experiments?
I hope so. I think so. I think people realized that, you know, we were just normal people, normal scientists trying to do our work, get the answers that we were looking for, and then publish those and build on those, and that what we were actually doing was for a greater good in a way, because, you know, trying to improve agriculture, and with all the issues concerning food security, and we really need to be thinking about all the ways that we can improve agriculture in the future, and this is just one small part of that, but it's a step, you know, and I think that's important, and I think people realise that.